is up, everybody?
Hello,
Whoever's
Dom.
in here. How's it going?
How's it? Good. How are you?
Hey guys, my name is Dom Lay. You are already known. And I'm an artist, an illustrator, working independently and freelance. And today we're going to do a simple environment with some storytelling elements and see how far we can get with it. And yeah.
Cool.
Shall we start? Yeah, so if you want to just like feed those questions, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
If anyone's here. But
we have 3 million viewers so far.
Oh shoot.
Let's see. Yeah, we have a few questions so far. So hi, I'm Christian. I'm going to be answering questions from proko.com/533. So if you want to ask a question, go there and I will read it. Cool. Here, let me find a question. Charlotte Noel asks, hey, do you have any tips on how to paint in traditional approach digitally? I absolutely love your work.
Traditional approach. It's mostly about using a lot of the tools in here. So I use like the mixer brush a lot. If you saw in the first Proko video that I did right here, I kind of use like an airbrush to pull a lot of the strokes downwards, and that makes like that sort of wet style like watercolor. But yeah, sometimes my process can be a bit weird because I don't start with a line drawing. So I just go straight into the shapes mostly.
So you see your work big to small mostly when you're doing an illustration?
Yeah. So everything's just kind of blocked out, and starting with the big shapes first, sort of the foreground elements. Sometimes I'll start with the background elements, but mostly foreground elements first to establish some dark values. Things like that.
Do you usually have a grid when you start an image?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Especially if it's like architecture, it's good to have a grid unless you're like, a beast at perspective, then yeah, you don't need a grid.
Grids are good.
Yeah, I'm not Kim Jong-gi yet, so
yeah,
I can't really do that. I'm trying, still learning stuff, but yeah, this is actually like a new style that I've been doing. It's I'm still like getting used to it because I've never gone into this territory since the middle of last year, so still kind of experimenting as well. A lot of the pieces that I've been making are like still pretty experimental, but somehow found a process between all of it.
Yeah. Would you say when you're painting it's mostly experimental, or?
Yeah, I would say so, because I don't really have like a set style, I would say. It's all like from years of experimenting with different styles, and then they all just kind of amalgamate into one sort of thing.
One image.
Yeah. So as I'm doing the ground plane, I'm just doing like a quick wash of like a multiply to establish a ground plane per se. It's not really rendered. Then
right.
Oh, keep doing the
long. Would you like a question?
Sure.
Joe asks, hey Dom, Christian, we're seeing a few artists put new courses up on Proko. Are there any plans for you to do the same? If there aren't, what would you like to teach?
Probably more storytelling stuff. I feel. I think that's the struggle that I've had in the past, and it's like helped me a lot with my work. Just like learning how to tell basic stories within your images. And I guess focusing less on the art and more on the story helps with these images, at least.
Right. Yeah. So you would say that the draftsman side of it is obviously very important, but the storytelling takes precedent over something necessarily correct, right? How would you say you studied storytelling?
How did I study storytelling?
Yeah.
Just, I guess, watching a lot of some of my favorite films, like adventure movies, things like that. There's something cool about like finding a lost treasure somewhere and seeking out answers to find it. It's always like really mind-boggling to people, I guess.
Right.
Like Indiana Jones or that sort of stuff. I really love that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Sparks. Yeah. If it can spark curiosity in your audience, then it means you're doing something right.
Right.
So how was your day, Christian?
Good. I had a sandwich this morning and made a cookie. And, I'm prepping my van as well.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? How was your day so far?
I went for a bike ride real quick.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Let's go sometime.
Yeah. I'm still kind of like adjusting to my vision because I recently got eye surgery. So yes, I don't need technically wear glasses, but these are like for screens.
Right.
So,
was it I mean, if you don't want to answer publicly, that's okay. But
I don't mind.
Is it okay?
Yeah, they're okay. I'm still like getting used to it. I just can't like do like 6-hour drawing sessions for a little bit, but this is fine.
Yeah.
As long as I'm like this far from the screen. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's what happens when you stare at a computer for like 15 years of your life.
Yeah.
Just
doing all it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that repetitive strain injuries, like wrist injuries and eye strain and all that stuff, is very common in
with artists.
Artists in general, yeah. Have you ever dealt with any kind of repetitive strain injury?
On my eyes or just
hands
in general?
Yeah.
Not really my hands. Like I know a lot of artists experience carpal tunnel, but I never really get that. I don't know. I guess I don't really use my wrist that much when I'm painting. So kind of just using like my fingers. I'm not really using like my wrist all that much.
Yeah.
Just moving the pen around.
Right.
Yeah.
We always get a lot of questions about people who have experienced some kind of injury drawing or injury unrelated to drawing, but it's prevented their ability to do art. Do you think you'd have any advice for people like that, or?
I'd say take a lot of breaks. To walk away from your computer if you can. I can't like sit at my computer for long hours anymore. Just does a lot of like damage to my body these days. But yeah, I try to just work out a lot often too, to get my mind and body in shape. And prevents less injuries.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I hear that all the time, that being healthy physically is as important as to your art as drawing all the time.
Yeah, that's why we try to go on those bike rides.
Yeah.
While it lasted. Well, we can still go, like, when we're free.
Soon. But yeah, I've been writing a little bit here and there. It's been good for me.
Nice. You going on your like super long road trips lately on your bike, or just?
I did that. The last one was a San Luis Obispo thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that one on my Instagram, but
I think I did.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, slowly like building up to bigger ones, but also getting burnt out on doing really big bike rides.
Oh, really? It's getting tiring for you?
Takes a lot of time. It's pretty difficult. So.
I feel that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like all this stuff kind of relates to art in a sense. It's like the more I can do that kind of stuff, the more I can focus on riding my bike, the more I can grind on, something art related that I don't necessarily want to do.
Right.
Makes it more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like having different hobbies besides art is always good.
Yeah.
Helps you not to be one-dimensional.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I was listening to Alex Honnold, the free solo guy. I don't know if you've seen that documentary, but he climbed El Capitan in Yosemite without any ropes, and he was talking about how he's so calm because he's constantly being thrashed around by nature that he can like put himself in a situation like that and be completely calm because he's so used to it.
Right. That's awesome.
And it's helped him be more creative, is what he was saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I need to get out of the state more. Honestly, like
travel is good.
It's a good experience, I think.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think there's a balance, because I mean, you're one of the only people that I know that have, put in the work to publish their own book. If you want to tell people about it, like Dom made this book called Me to the Least. I guess you could do a better job explaining it than I can.
Yeah. So I kind of briefly talked about it on the Proko video, but yeah, it was like a art book that I made when I was back in LCAD. It was the college I went to, and I started in 2018, and it was like a journey of self-discovery, I guess, as an artist. And that project took 3 years to make, from 2018 to 2020, like towards the middle of that year. And yeah, it was a pretty gratifying experience, like making something on your own that like people happen to enjoy, because I didn't think anyone would like invest in this project.
Right.
It's like, who's this guy? Layered painter. Like nobody knows who I am. So I think that book was like a springboard for like a lot of new opportunities that popped up.
Right.
And it turned out that I didn't necessarily like have to work somewhere. So that book like helped just bring more of the jobs to like my spot, I guess. So just investing in that, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, the book is about like Orientalism and a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, just stuff that I liked that I looked at a lot when I was a kid. Kind of just brought that to the forefront of my career.
Yeah.
And here I am. Doing another project. So
nice. Well, the thing that I guess Stan and Marshall and they're always talking about on Draftsman is that people should be having their studies at home, doing their academic stuff and figure drawing and anatomy and painting and whatever, but they should always have a personal project they're working on, because that's where the art and that's where the things they can really hang their hat on comes. I think that's where that stuff comes out. And it seems to me that like that book was potentially more beneficial to you than going to art school.
Oh yeah. Quite
which
honestly.
Is kind of ironic because you could have, I guess you could have done it on your own, or the fact that you, like, in spite of potentially feeling like it might not be worth it, you still were doing it. And
well, thanks to Scott and the rest of the guys, if they're on here. Shout out to them. It's definitely I guess it was like more of a personal struggle than anything else, because I didn't have like money to fund the project or anything, so I just used like my freelance money to fund it. And then I didn't do like a Kickstarter or anything because I just felt weird like asking people for money to like support my book. So I just was like, okay, maybe I'll just use my money and just invest in it. And then just people can just buy the book. But still, turned out good. The reception was good.
Well, I feel like that's the fun side of the part, but like having the ability to actually believe in yourself and believing that you have the ability to go out and make something that you care about. I suspect that the hardest thing that a lot of people struggle with is not necessarily, like, I think a lot of people are really good at training, doing the things that are laid out, but it's really scary to go out and do a project like that.
I mean, when you don't have people believing in the project at first, it is scary, like having no support behind it. So you have to kind of feed that support into yourself to make it like happen.
Where do you think that motivation for you came from?
Let's see. I would say just the drive to want to just have something personal, I guess, because I figured like if I couldn't get a job somewhere, maybe I could just chase my dreams now and start my own thing. Rather than just like looking for somewhere to give me a job, I'll just make my own job. Sort of thing. Or like that entrepreneur mindset, I guess, to want to like build something yourself.
Right.
But it's fun. I mean, even with like the hardships, things like that, I think it's gratifying once you see the final result. Something that you put together with your blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. It's getting deep.
Well, I don't know. I think that's the purpose of art, right? It's like, it's not like, I think a lot of people spend all of their time training to depict, all these heroic characters and scenes and tell these amazing stories. And I think there's an element of that where people are trying to, like, they paint those pictures because they want their lives to be more like that, ironically, those like paintings are a way of people living that heroic life,
Right.
So
that's an interesting point. Is there anyone
Oh yeah.
Interesting on the stream. Or people asking interesting questions, I guess.
Yeah. Lazy Fungi says, "Hey Dom and Christian, do you have any tips for someone who has their basis in traditional art but would like to move digital? Thanks."
From traditional to digital, I think like there's not much of a learning curve, I would say, from traditional. Well, maybe there might be because all the new tools that you're exposed to. But like me personally, I never have really touched traditional paints ever, so I don't really know what that's like. But if you're gonna transition to digital, I would say it's a pretty easy transition than if like you just went from scratch, or maybe from scratch it's like easier for you. Just all depends how you work. Yeah, I've never had traditional experience, so I just went straight into digital.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like the same advice you'd give for anyone doing anything new. It's like, I think traditional does a good job for training you about how to, how light works and how drawing works, but it's under the constraint that there's no undo button, and there's no control Z.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I trained traditionally and I tried to go switch digitally, and I actually ran into a lot of issues because I wasn't using the tools properly. Photoshop is such a powerful tool, and I would find myself not wanting to use, the lasso tool or the undo button because there was a subconscious feeling that I was doing something that wasn't correct.
Right.
The advice that I might give is just to like paint traditionally, but if you really want to do digital work, just start like mostly doing digital work.
Yeah, just go where you mostly desire your skills at. If you love traditional, just hyper focus on traditional. If you like digital, just do that.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't think there's like a wrong way to do art. Like, there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah. So somebody I'd recommend taking a look at for anyone that is traditional and wants to go digital is Tyler Jacobson, the Magic the Gathering artist. Yeah.
I've seen his work.
He's awesome. He trained traditionally and he's become like this awesome digital illustrator. He essentially paints a painting in Photoshop like he would an oil painting, but he uses all the tools that you would as a digital artist.
That's it.
Pretty cool.
Sweet.
Taki says, "Hello, Dom and Christian. I was wondering if Dom, can you please tell me what is your daily drawing practice? What to focus on most? I'd like to design environments. Thank you."
Yeah. So when I start environments, I kind of just looked at a lot of environment artists, people or artists who dabble in environments. I think a couple of my favorite ones was Paper Blue. It's the South Korean artist who like does those insane pen sketches. I looked at a lot of his stuff just to practice like my perspective, because he has impeccable perspective. So if you can learn the fundamentals through different artists, like that's kind of how I learned, just by observing and just picking apart like an artist's work and asking yourself questions along the way. Like, why did they do this a certain way? Or like, why did they choose the composition that they did? Or like, why did they choose this color? Or why did they make that line that way? And so when you're curious about the process, that's when like things start to make sense. Things start to click, I'd say.
Right. So your advice would be to like cultivate curiosity?
Yeah. Just going outside too and just observing your surroundings, like how light works. on different surfaces? Like, how does light affect, objects in different times of day? How do buildings look? Like the different structural elements of a building. Like what's in the environment itself? Like what are the people, the culture? What kind of props or belongings are in this place?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not like a strictly environment artist. Like I like to dabble in everything, but I think it's good to know drawing a lot of things so you're well rounded. But I guess it just depends on what kind of artist you want to be. Like if you want to go into environments, just study environments. If you want to be a character artist, study characters. If you want to world build, study everything. So I would say like I'm mostly a world builder. So I have to like study everything.
Right.
Which makes it more fun because I'm not limiting myself to just one thing. But
well, and you'd credit Scott Flanders for helping you on your artistic journey a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting to me to see like I know a lot of people who look at Scott's or credit Scott as helping them a lot in their artistic journeys, and they don't necessarily draw anything like him, but it's all about like cultivating that interest, like your genuine interest, where your like attention naturally goes, and not necessarily trying to be like anyone else, trying to like be yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway from everything, because I think I mentioned this before, but it just felt like pixie dust was thrown into my eyes, and I could see now what he was talking about. Yeah, before I was not focused at all. Like I didn't have a focused direction, and I was wondering like why nothing ever worked for me. And then I realized like, oh, maybe I should probably just like specialize in something and not do like a bunch of different things. So sort of builds like a pillar for you, or like a foundation for you, for your voice and stuff. That is if you want to develop a voice. You don't have to. You don't want to.
When you do art, do you write down goals for images, or write down what you want to, like the stuff you want to accomplish?
I just have like a mental checklist in my head, I guess, of things that I want to accomplish in my lifetime. Like, I definitely want to continue making IPs and try and put those in people's hands. Hopefully inspire people to make their own IPs too. I guess that's like my mission and purpose in life, is to help people make their own IPs. Yeah, I mean, other than that, like I still want to explore more worlds after this. So after this current project that I'm working on, which is called Blue November, I don't know if I should spoil this, but I'm gonna be working on the next book, which people will probably know what I'm gonna be doing. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it actually. Yeah,
you have to buy it.
So I know I've asked you this, but how's your journey in art, Christian?
Like, yeah, it's good
so far, or like how you start and stuff.
My own art journey, like when I start a drawing or a painting or something, or more broad.
Yeah, just any processes about yourself, like that you've explored in art or something, or anything like that.
Yeah. I guess it's. I think it's important to have a good grasp on fundamentals. Knowing your anatomy and perspective and gesture and stuff. But I think at a certain point, you kind of have to step away from the, what you've learned and kind of start developing your own voice. And for me, what that means is that I don't necessarily want to be a professional person who makes images. The goal for me is to keep art as fun and as low stress as possible.
Yeah.
And what that means is like taking classes when I want to take classes, and keeping a sketchbook and trying to keep it as loose as possible.
Yeah. That's a good goal.
And I feel like my personal opinion on art is that it people can be very judgmental towards their own stuff, and I think that actually hinders a lot of people's development.
True, like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. I had a hard time with that in the past. It's not as prominent now, I would say, but before then I was like bashing my own head over my art.
Yeah.
Saying like, this sucks, this is trash, this is garbage.
Right.
But I guess the more you do that, you kind of make people not trust that you're capable.
Right.
And it like makes people think like, oh, does he really know what he's talking about?
Right. Yeah. I've heard that a lot. Is like, I mean, the things that you project into the world will be projected back at you. If you're insecure and your art's insecure, then people are going to see your art as like not something they want to consume.
Yeah.
So,
I think you have to believe in it.
Absolutely. Well, the thing that really helped me is that I realized that no one cared. Like, I mean, it's like realizing that people do care about your art. I mean, I'm not trying to sound nihilistic or anything, but I mean, people aren't that invested into your art nearly as much as you are, at least.
Yeah.
And when you do a painting that might not be to the level that you'd like to, there's always the next painting. Not like, I suspect that if you did the perfect painting in your own eyes, and you stop painting, then it's like you never stop painting, So
yeah,
there is no painting so good that you could do that would cause you to stop. At that point, it's not about doing a masterwork painting, it's about the process of doing art and enjoyment.
Right. Yeah, just have fun. Yeah. I used to take art like really seriously back in the day. Like, I gotta do this to get a job, I gotta do this to like make it. And that kind of limited myself because it was like a competition mindset instead of just like a having fun mindset. And like art should be fun. I don't think like art should be so serious. Because that kind of like limits your full range of creativity. If you like try to focus your art on like getting a job, then it's like, well, you're basically competing at that point.
Right.
Which, there's a lot of competition out there, but like I think if you just focus on yourself and stay hyper focused in what you're doing, then like nothing else matters really. You're just having fun at that point.
Right. Well, and I think I don't think that's sustainable either. When every single painting has to be something that you can be hired for or working towards that greater goal, then every painting that isn't that is a failure. So you're constantly just failing in a really unhealthy way, potentially. And,
yeah.
I've talked to Stan quite a bit about this, the idea of creating successes for yourself, and if you're in a, especially as a student, trying to be hired as a concept artist is trying to like seek external validation for your art. And when you're doing that, it's like as a student, you're actually not good enough to like usually make something that people will buy. So you're kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed. And,
yeah. Because I remember like when I was first starting out, everything was for the job. Like, like fun art didn't matter. I just needed a job.
Right.
And then when I had that mindset, I was jaded. I was like, I hate art. Like after a while, I was like, I don't like this. But
Did
then
you, sorry, go
ahead. Yeah, I didn't like do art for a little while after that breaking point. But yeah, what were you saying?
Did you get the job?
Nope. Because I was doing something that that wasn't me, it was just something to, I guess, have a nice title on my resume sort of thing, Just like I don't really care that much anymore. I just want to inspire people. That's it. It's like my daily thing.
Right. Yeah, be a little bit better than you were yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's just a competition with yourself, to get better than you were a week ago or a couple of days ago or whatever.
Would you like a question from the chat?
Sure.
Van Lynn asks, "Hi Dom and Christian. Can you talk about how you go about finding a story to tell? Is it mostly client work or something you came up with?"
A story. Is that for like a personal project or for work?
I guess just in general. Like, how do you come up with a story? I guess we kind of touched upon it earlier in the stream.
Yeah.
You get it by like riding your bike or reading stories or looking at different artists.
Yeah, just anything that's within your sphere of influence, I guess. Like whatever you grab throughout your life is kind of the basis for your story. Like it can be life experience, it can be, stuff from TV shows or games. Like a lot of my influence came from films and games because I live in a pretty like suburban area, so there's not much interesting stuff going around. So it's kind of hard to like relate life experience to my work. So I just like a lot of games that are the most popular, I guess, and the ones that like stuck to me throughout my life.
Yeah.
So it all depends where you find inspiration.
Yeah. I think that's the actual hardest part about art is like the perspective and anatomy and proportion. That's all binary that can be like measured and corrected. But with art, it's like, what are you saying? Well, what's the point? It's like, that's a lot harder to answer than, is that arm long enough? Or is that?
Yeah, box? I think when the focus, I feel, is like on the little details, you're kind of just missing the big overall picture of what you're doing. Yeah. So I try not to focus like too much on details on my images. I know I used to get a lot of flack like back in the day, like saying that my work is not even readable. Like it's so loose, like everything's impressionistic, all your brushstrokes are like all over the place. Like I can't make out what this brushstroke is. And I used to be self-conscious about that for a while. It's like, dang, should I tighten up or should I just like do what I need to do for what I like? Right. And I think if you just stick to what you like, then, you will eventually manifest like your true calling in a way?
For me, I feel like the art that I like the most now, it's not necessarily the best draftsmanship. It's the art that's the most honest. It's
Yeah.
the art that's like the most expressive and the best at communicating what the author or the artist is trying to say. And,
Yeah.
and I think another reality of this stuff is like, no matter how good you are as a draftsman, people are still going to, think you're a bad artist, no matter what, And
Yeah.
I think the thing about art is like having the bravery to say that even though this person doesn't like this thing, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. That's so true.
Judd Mercer says, "Hey Dom, I have your Journey to the East book. Can you talk about the process? When did you feel like you were good enough to tackle a world building project?"
The process of the world building project. Yeah. So I didn't really have like a blueprint laid out for that book. It's mostly just like I found, different references that, I gathered over time. I just rolled with one culture or one sort of genre, and I just like decided to build on top of that. So everything you see in that book is like an amalgamation of references that I built over time. And then I chose like the pieces that can fit that world. And I started with one image, started with one painting. And then from there, I kind of built all the images around that one piece. So everything is like Lego pieces that you sort of put together to build a whole world. Like not every image in there is top tier. There's some that are pretty bad, like bad quality. But like you can see the world that I was trying to make from it. And it all goes back to seeing the bigger picture again, not being like a perfectionist about the world, but just trying to like get as much done as you can in the limited amount of time you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know. I think an example that I use sometimes is like, I think that Star Wars is one of like the most popular, most successful, most well-loved like movie franchises on the planet. But there's some messy parts about the original Star Wars movies, like production mistakes or weird character design stuff, or just like you can go down the list. But it's like the broad strokes of Star Wars is something that has resonated with like a billion people or something.
Yeah.
So if they just focused on trying to make the best possible movie and be complete perfectionists, they never would have been finished.
Yeah, I think perfectionism can really like hinder the time you finish a project, because we want to make it so good, but at the same time it's like, I think we're overshooting ourselves if we try to make it too good to the point where it's missing the mark or like the overall essence of what we're trying to go for. So I just try to just build the worlds. Like I don't really care that much about perfection. As long as it's done, that's what matters.
Yeah. I think it inevitably, like if you just do enough projects, you're gonna get good at drawing. It's like I think that getting good at drawing is actually pretty easy. Getting good at making art is easy. You just do it every day. It's a lot harder than
some time, but
yeah. And it's all about just keeping the mindset of not being judgmental towards yourself. Just putting in the work. And
Yeah.
Having fun.
Yeah. Just let me know if I'm going too slow.
Oh, dude, you're good. This is awesome.
Okay.
Doing a good job.
Just I don't know if I need to speed up or slow down.
No, dude, this is awesome.
Okay.
You have 10 hours left of the stream. So.
All right. Hopefully all 300 people or so are still around. Just kidding.
414 now.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. What question? Tim Adams says, "Hey Dom, I've been drawing for a long time, but I am having difficulty switching to painting. It seems like a different mindset. Do you have a different thought process when you paint compared to when you draw?"
Oh, so he's been drawing for?
Yeah,
most
drawing
of the
for a
time?
long time, not painting.
Yeah, like painting is a different beast from drawing. Like, I honestly think painting is way harder than drawing. Like, despite what some people say that drawing is harder, I think painting's a lot harder. It's like drawing requires just the line and the draftsmanship, but the painting is like composition, color theory, brush economy, all that sort of stuff, and like harmonizing color palettes and just a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with painting. But I mostly started off as a painter, so I wouldn't really know. I'm not like a drawer as much.
Yeah.
But I would say the same principles apply. Like just how you hold a pencil, it's like same as holding a brush. It's just you might use like a thicker stroke with the painting. But yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not the one to answer that.
I think, I mean, I went to a school called the Watts Atelier in Sinix, and they were trained by another group of guys who, it's like the guys who developed the Riley method. And they, what they would say is, when you are drawing, you're essentially doing the same thing as painting.
Yeah.
It's just that you're working with a different set of, like you're working with line and value instead of, instead of direct color or direct swaths of paint, And, the thing that they say is like, the exact same principles apply, and you just have to find a way of learning to think in the same way that you draw, which is like, it depends on the kind of art you want to do too. If you want to do what Dom does, it's different from being like a fine artist and like an observational painter, or completely. I think there are a lot of similar things, but for somebody that wants to get into painting that draws a lot, I guess the advice that I think a lot of people would give is just to like paint more.
Yeah.
And try to, keep in mind the fundamentals that you spend so much time learning drawing when you're painting.
Yeah, I would agree. All just mileage and experimenting and see what works, see what doesn't work. Because I spent like the first 4 years starting out just like trying to find my footing with painting. Like nothing clicked until the 5th year. So it took me a while to find that out.
With all this stuff, I think it's just about like as a student, you don't want to even be worrying about making things that people care about, or at least images that people care about. It's like the artists that I've talked to the most that are professionals, they always say that time that they enjoyed being an artist the most was being a student, because they got to, just spend all their time experimenting. They didn't have to worry about doing good, like artwork that other people cared about. They just worried about doing artwork that they cared about. And for them, that was like a, like more what art means to them than what they do now.
Right.
Like going back to what we've been talking about, is just the goal is to experiment with stuff and enjoy it. And
yeah. Just find what you ultimately like.
Can I make a request, Dom?
Sure. Yeah.
Can you incorporate a kangaroo somehow into this painting?
Maybe he'll be up here. I don't know how to draw a kangaroo off the top of my head. That's such a bad kangaroo.
Kangaroo 2.0.
Yeah. Anyone who's good at drawing kangaroos, just don't judge me.
Kangaroos are hard, man. I couldn't. I don't think many people can draw a kangaroo off the top of their head.
Yeah.
I think the kangaroo thing is like an example of how somebody can be really, really strong at one thing, which is Stan is like one of the best figurative artists that I know. And then, I think he's good at drawing from his head, but doing it like those skills, like I think if he spent a couple of months really training that stuff, he'd get really good at it, get his hand, not rusty, but like if you just do one thing, you're going to get really good at that. And it's not like learning, being really good at environments or being really good at figures or anything won't necessarily make you a lot better at anything else. And I think the goal is to identify the thing that you actually really want to get good at and make the conscious sacrifice that you're going to be bad at something else and still have that be okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Let me think of another question. Mads says, since 3D is being used so much in the concepting industry and it's pushed to being 90% of the final image, is it fair to say that drawing is playing a lesser role today?
That's a good question. I think it still is. I see some artists, they still have like their sketches that they use to design stuff, like the loose ideas, things like that. Essentially, that is concept art. You're just drawing the ideas. It's not a finished piece, most of the time at least. But I think it's still important in the ideation stage. But I know some people ideate all in 3D. They don't even draw, which I guess it just depends on your workflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's there are plenty of artists in the industry that still draw traditionally, and there are plenty of artists that do nothing but 3D.
Yeah. I still love like Ian McKay.
Yeah, Ian McKay's awesome.
Draws stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to get to that level. It's like drawing that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that art is just a tool to communicate, and whether it be 3D or drawing traditionally or sculpting or doing anything, it's just a way of communicating ideas. You can communicate what you want with drawing or ZBrush or gouache or digital painting or whatever, and do it as quickly and as effectively as anyone else. And you're likely to get a job anywhere.
Are you able to see the names of people who are on the stream or no? Is it anonymous?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's I'm reading from proko.com/533.
Oh, okay.
So, on the chat as well. You have any travel plans, Dom, after COVID?
Oh, after COVID? Yeah, probably just gonna go to Texas. Like the only travel plan, at least for now.
We're in Texas.
It's called Keller. That's where I'm hoping to aim for.
Nice.
But I'd love to see Austin or Dallas. Maybe Houston too.
I will visit you, Kelly.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it looks kind of like Irvine, but just more flat, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Driving around the country next week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's your first destination.
Phoenix. And then after Phoenix, I will go to Salt Lake City. And then after Salt Lake City, I will go to West Glacier, Montana. And then after that, I will go to Ohio to see Ahmed. And then New York to see Stephen. I'll be having people on my podcast along the way too.
Awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to
that. So Dom, I don't know if you're from, over the past couple of months, we had a challenge. It was called Your Life as a Movie Poster. John B, the Proko John, asked, if you were to do the Proko challenge from June, what would your life as a movie poster look like?
Oh. Let's see. I guess I would just be riding my bike.
Bike
off to the sunset.
Nice.
On like a
warm
afternoon.
Western kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. I don't really see my life as grandiose or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You?
I don't either. Probably my bike and my van. If you've seen Nomadland, the movie, it'd probably be a lot like that poster.
I haven't seen it.
For anyone that doesn't know, I currently live in my cargo van. I'm doing the whole van life thing. So, yeah. By the way, people are saying hello from Turkey and France and Brazil and Germany.
Hello. Greetings from the U.S. Good old California. SoCal. Yeah, surprisingly, I have a lot of followers from Europe. Not too many from America, the U.S. It's mostly Europe.
Why do you think that is?
Probably because my stuff looks like it's from Europe. Like the artwork that I've been creating. It's like very reminiscent of Italian architecture and some French. Like, that stuff, which is cool. Yeah. It's already been an hour. Time flew.
Nice. Yeah, you're doing a good job. You're killing it, man. What exercises would you recommend to beginners to practice storytelling with their paintings?
Let's see. I would look at children's books. I used to my parents would read me children's books all the time when I was a kid. And so that sort of simplicity in like a children's short story, I guess, is good for storytelling. Because it's so easy that a child can understand it. When you can make stories that simple for even an adult, then like it's not as difficult if you try to make, some huge plot line that is hard to understand. I always start my stories with once upon a time, and then from there everything just flows from that point. So check out some children's short stories, Aesop's Fables, that sort of thing. It's good.
It's very good advice.
Yep.
Calvin and Hobbes, pretty good.
Yeah. I used to read like the Tintin comics on my wall here.
How's Andre and Adrian doing?
Oh, they're good. They're probably on the stream right now.
Would you like to talk about the podcast that you three have?
Yeah. Shameless plug. Lightshare Podcast. We started that last August. We want to hopefully make it a platform that can grow in size over the coming months and maybe sell Lightshare products. But essentially, we just bring artists onto that podcast interview, and we like to keep it like a casual podcast. It's not like super serious, just like what we're doing right now. Just like a casual sort of talk. It's not like an interrogation or formal interview or anything like that.
Right.
It's just getting to know each other. Yeah, if they're on here, what's up? Saying hi.
Yes.
Hopefully they can share their processes soon, because they got a lot to offer as well.
They are good artists. Yeah, the Lightshare Podcast is good. Adrian, Andre. You can find them through the Lightshare Podcast YouTube channel.
There's been a lot of podcasts popping up since COVID. Everyone started making it, or making one at least.
Yeah. Everyone's inside talking to each other.
Yeah. Who do I talk to? The wall.
The computer screen.
My conscience.
Have you been playing any games at all, Tom?
I want to. It's just there's hasn't been much time. I need to update my rig because I'm using like a really crummy laptop. I know people have been buying like those RTX 3090s, whatever they're called, with those insane graphics. I'm just here with like a pizza box.
Well, I think that's a lesson for anyone that thinks they need an awesome computer to do art. The answer is you don't.
You do, though. Okay. No, you don't.
Only good artists use $5,000 paints and $50,000 computer. What games would you play if you had time to play games, and why?
I don't know. There's like so many games that I wanted to play but never got a chance to. I'd say The Witcher 3 is probably something I'd still want to play, and Dishonored 2, because that directly ties into my project a bit. Maybe revisit some old games that I played in the past, like Knights of the Old Republic. It's like a Star Wars game.
Yeah, dude, I played that. I played it recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, like a year ago or something. Yeah, but yeah.
That was childhood. Right there.
Corban and Sid Temple and stuff. So cool.
Nice.
It holds up, actually. I had a lot of fun playing.
Yeah. I never heard of it, though. But it sounds fun.
Yeah. Here is a very long question. SM says, hello, quick question regarding perspective. If you have ever read Scott Robertson's book, as you know, Scott Robertson uses complex XYZ plane drawing to draw a car, and it is quite complex. I wanted to ask you if you've ever tried the method to actually draw a car in a finished piece. As most professionals who read the book just draw a car ship by just painting, creating XYZ plane. Do you think it is worth it to learn the skills and actually use the method? Because to me, it looks like the most efficient way to draw vehicles, or the best way to draw a car. It doesn't look like that way.
Yeah, I've never read his book at all. The only perspective I know is just the simple 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, which, you make like a horizon line, right? And then if you zoom out, you can put like a plot line on the horizon line and just make a 1 point perspective. And then you have your 2 point perspective like out here off to the side. And your 3 point perspective is like somewhere up here or down here. And that's all I use. I don't really use the super precise perspective method. I did learn Scott Robertson's method, though, when I was at LCAD. And I did not like it. I got a lot of anxiety from that class learning it. It's not fun.
Yeah, I think that learning that whole academic perspective thing is like similar to the figure, where you actually don't need to know that much to be a professional figurative artist. You just need to be good at a few things. And, that Scott Robertson stuff is like good for actual car design.
Yeah, like
if you want to
really good designers, we're actually building stuff in real life. I would say.
Yeah.
But if you're just an artist, then you just need to know like the basics.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to learn enough to say what you want to say, not to just like have arbitrary knowledge just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Is there any other types of artists you plan to bring on soon? Like coming weeks, maybe?
Yeah, comic artists and illustrators and fine artists and stuff. And, we have Morgan Weisling coming on.
Oh, nice. You reached out to me a while back, I think.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Good. Yeah. It's cool.
And Banksy.
Really?
No. No, not actually Banksy. Yeah, Banksy's going to do his public reveal, his identity reveal in Proko. No, don't. I'm not actually. That's not actually true. I'm being dumb.
His Dismaland thing was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was like neat.
It'd be cool to get Andre and Adrian on Proko.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a matter of time. Because I know they're pretty busy with stuff, but just gotta make time.
Yeah.
Is there just like a general chat on? This is going on YouTube, right?
Yeah, there's a general.
So there's is there like a YouTube chat on the side too, or just the Proko thing?
There is a YouTube chat.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can do something. Ahmed says he is Banksy, and he says great art. Ahmed Aldoori says great art.
Thanks, Ahmed. A huge fan of your stuff too. Yeah, we met at the Lightbox thing a couple years ago. I was next to Sinix, and then he hopped into the picture. But yeah, I don't think he knew who I was at the time. I was a nobody.
Nobody. Do you recommend that students go to art conventions?
Yeah, definitely. I was a bit skeptical about going, or not skeptical, but like kind of apprehensive about going. But then it's probably one of the best decisions I made to like go meet people. Because I mean, you can meet people on Instagram, but like meeting people in real life is way different, obviously.
Yeah. Adrian, by the way, if you're listening to this, I sent you an invite link on Discord if you'd like to join the stream.
I don't know what Madrid time is right now. It's
I saw him. He commented in the chat.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, you always hear these stories of people at conventions talking. People getting hired and getting these awesome jobs there and having these great experiences. And I think that does happen, but I also think it's important to go just to see what the industry is like, and it's also fun and meet people and have these cool experiences.
Mm-hmm. I hope there's a Lightbox Expo this year in person.
I think there is. I don't know if it's in person though. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I don't know this year. Let's see. Doodle Pete says, "Hello, Dom. I wanted to ask you, based on your experience as an artist, what are things that you should avoid when drawing?"
Let's say tangents.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. So, I had a hard time wrapping my head around what tangents were. Like everyone's saying, like, watch out for tangents. What does that mean? Oh, it's when the line touches another line and makes this weird intersection.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's why my art looks so bad back in the past. So, didn't watch out for this.
Yeah. By the way, I think I'm going to be kicked out of the stream for a second.
Okay.
I'll
just keep reading. I can't see questions. There's a really loud garbage truck going past my house. Hopefully people can't hear it.
Oh. Hello.
Hey.
No, we're messing around with the stream layout. So oh, cool. You can see both of us now. I'm not Stan, by the way. I am Stan.
How do I know that you're not?
I could be taking myself into
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Stan's birthday today, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Stan.
Thank you.
Can't say it in person. Wait, is it your birthday or his birthday?
No, it's not actually my birthday.
Oh, okay.
But it is Stan's birthday. It is actually Stan's birthday. Here, wait.
Cool. Oh,
Look.
Cool. Happy birthday,
Adrian.
Hey.
Adrian's here now.
Hey,
Yo,
guys. Can they hear me?
what's going
on? Hey, man.
Your birthday or his birthday?
Yeah, it's Adrian's birthday, too.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? No, it's not actually my birthday.
Oh, okay. I think the
But
sound is like
it is actually Stan's birthday. Here, wait.
Cool.
I hear myself twice.
Oh,
Look.
cool. Yeah, me too. It's so weird.
Through your mic, Adrian.
Yeah. I just fixed it, hopefully.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear yourself?
No.
Okay, great. So how are you guys doing?
Good.
Man,
How are you?
this is awesome. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Good.
We're talking about art,
Been a while, dude.
art careers and stuff. And
Yeah.
Nice. I was lucky enough to catch this live because I just came back home right now, and I saw you guys were streaming. I thought I missed it, to be honest. I thought, oh shit! Remember it was today.
No.
I thought you guys were already over with it.
no, I'm glad we could join.
Dope, man. I already said that in the chat. I'm not sure if you noticed, but yeah, I like it. It's really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, for anybody that doesn't know Adrian, he is an awesome concept artist that
Oh, thank you so much.
does a podcast with Dom. And, I highly recommend checking out his work. He's pretty awesome.
He's also making a world building thing too.
Yeah.
Called Heavenorian.
Oh man. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've been quite off with our podcast for a while because we've been quite busy. And yeah, I'm not sure you noticed it. You noticed the question, but I was basically interested in knowing how do you guys balance out life and work so well? You know, because most of the time, yeah, it's kind of hard.
I don't know. The way I've been doing it is I've been working very hard for 3 to 6 months on something, and then I'll do something else that's completely different. So I'll work really hard on like a project that helps my career, and then I'll go and travel or something for a couple of months. Go on a road trip, or, you know.
Most of the times, it kind of feels like it feels bad to take a break, you know, because you're having so much fun with something. You know, this job it doesn't even feel like a job sometimes, right? Because it's something that we love to do so much that, especially when it comes down to personal projects, you feel so bad for taking breaks because it's like you feel like you're missing out. So it feels to me that it's pretty hard to have some entertainment. Like, for instance, you guys were talking about games before, right?
Right.
So these months, I've been trying to have some of that. You know, it was a long time since I played games, and I started to play games, and I couldn't help it but to feel bad, you know, because I'm like, man, this time could be invested in a much more wiser way.
Right.
But at the same time, you feel the other way around too. So
I feel like, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before in general, where like something that I always talk about the $1 billion question, you know. It's like, what would you be playing video? Like, would you be doing art if you had $1 billion? The answer is yes, you should probably be doing art. The answer is, would you be playing video games if you had $1 billion? You should probably be playing video games. Like, I really like World of Warcraft. I'm a giant fan of World of Warcraft, and the new Burning Crusade expansion came out, and I've been playing a little bit of that. I don't feel guilty about it at all because it's something I'd still be doing, you know, even if I had all the time and money in the world to do it. You know, it's like,
I'm so glad you brought that up because I've, for the first time, purchased the like, I think I got 3 months of subscription to World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. You know, when I started back in the days, I was just basically playing like, this was back in 2007 or so when I first discovered World of Warcraft, and we were trying some those private servers, right? It only lasted for like 3 weeks, the experience on my side, until I get bored of it. And then all of a sudden, me and my friends decided to jump into it once again and kind of relive those nostalgic vibes. And it was awesome. It was great, right? But again, to a point where you realize this is a very huge, time-demanding game, right? And you have no control over your impulses. It can really mess up with your life.
Absolutely. I think it's all about striking that balance. And I think that there's nothing inherently wrong with playing video games or being like an art hermit, or, you know, but I think there's something wrong with only doing a single thing, right? It's like, it's probably a really bad idea to eat nothing but cupcakes, but it's also probably a really bad idea to eat nothing but broccoli, you know? It's like, but, you know, it's like, I think it's fair to spend some time playing video games if that's what you really want to do. And ultimately, it's like, I've talked to Jeff Watts a little bit about this, where the goal is to be completely non-judgmental to the way you spend your time. Like, if you're studying art and you really want to be a professional artist, and you make that distinction, you have to take it seriously, obviously. But even him, he's been drawing every day for like 4 hours a day for 30 years. He would take breaks, and he would say, like, if you feel like you need a place to stop, or you're feeling anxious, just powering through that anxiety is actually the wrong thing to do, because it's not sustainable.
Absolutely. I like that you brought up the food analogy, with sweets, because it's like, it's okay to have some dessert every now and then, right? Some nice treats per se, but you could not sustain yourself, from a health perspective, from only eating sugar and all that sweet stuff. It's like, the big, medium, small proportion. I think that's very true all around us in everything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere. So it's okay to take a break, I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think you can even burn yourself out. Like, in the same way you can burn yourself out on doing good things, you can burn yourself out on doing bad things. If you sit around and are completely self-indulgent for a few weeks, you not like crazy self-indulgent, but like, you're gonna realize why you're not doing that all the time in the first place. It's like, I like to work, I like to get stuff done, and I think I'm relatively productive, but I also like, spending a couple hours every now and again playing some World of Warcraft, or reading or like watching a TV show or watching YouTube. And like, it's the kind of stuff that I would be doing if I had $1 billion. And that's just like, there are things that I care about that I will not stop caring about, no matter how much money I have. I think it's important for people to be aware of, like, what do they actually want to do? If given, the choice between two things that they really like, what would they actually do if no one was around to influence that decision?
Yeah, right. Thanks for reminding me of the $1 billion thing again. It's a really cool concept, man. It's like, what would you do if you had, let's say, all the money in the world, right?
Yeah. Well, and the answer for you guys, it actually might not be that different from what you're doing right now. Like,
absolutely not. Yeah.
Like doing art and playing video games, traveling and
trying
ideas. It's like, I think that both of you, like, you would still do Blue November, Dom, if you had $1 billion. And you would still do your independent IP project if you had $1 billion, you dream.
Absolutely.
And at that point, it's like, when you think about it that way, it's like, those projects are actually priceless to you. Like, they wouldn't. It's not something that you can buy with money. Actually, it's like, because if you could and you had $1 billion, you would just pay a certain amount of money to have that finished, but you can't. It's not that simple.
Yeah, because you want to do it yourself. It's a reflection of your heart at a point.
Yeah,
it's like what you have inside, what your mind is. You're reflecting that through your work,
right?
And that has, like, how should I say this? Like, incalculable value, if that's a word in English.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The way I've been thinking about it a lot recently is like, money is like, I mean, it's not, but it in a sense, it's essentially infinite. It's like money is something that, like, you can actually get $1 billion. Like, it's unlikely that any of us will be worth $1 billion. I hope we are, but it's unlikely we'll ever be incredibly wealthy. But we have the same amount of time approximately as Bill Gates. It's like, Bill Gates has the same 24 hours in a day that we do. And I would also suspect that he would probably, like Warren Buffett, or like, it's better to be poor and young than to be old and rich, and I would rather be me as at 26 years old and healthy than, you know, be 100 years old and be worth $100 trillion, you know, just because I like can actually go and do more things that, because I have the energy to go and do it. And,
I see some people in the chat are aware that those games that we're talking about are designed to take your time, right? And that's absolutely true. And I think that only works if you're not aware of your own time and your schedule, per se, you know? So basically, if you're not busy with anything else and you have all the time in the world, you'll fall for it, you know? You'll get immersed into the experience of spending and devoting your time and energy to those games that may or may not fulfill you, because at some point they might turn into a negative experience, something that you want to escape from and you can't because you feel like you've invested too much to leave now or something like that. Never happened to me, but I've heard of some other people, and it sucks.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's I think people start to value, they start to value the people that they spend time around more, like the opinions. And like if you do nothing but play World of Warcraft, you're going to start valuing. Like I played WoW to the point where I was in raiding groups, and people were more disappointed that they didn't get a piece of loot or get, something didn't happen in a video game more than they might have been disappointed if they like lost their job or if they, like if a family member had gotten sick. They were more emotionally distraught. Dom's gone for a second.
I'm back.
It's strange. Like people get more emotionally invested into their WoW character than themselves, and I think it's important to be able to take a step back and just like, you're not your video game character, and you're more than just a set of binary pixels and JPEGs that create the textures on your character.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a warped sense of identity, I guess, associating yourself to the virtual character, your avatar, basically. And kind of losing the perspective of reality, and just, as you said, like becoming more aware of stuff within the virtual world rather than your real world, and not caring so much about what happens in real world.
And I think I totally understand why. It's for a lot of people, video games are an escape from their lives. If they live a very stressful home life or something, video games can actually be good in that sense.
Because that problem with video games happens when, let's say, in my case at least, I have a problem with playing games and taking breaks if I know that I have other priorities to get done first, right? And you decide to just take a little short break, maybe play for half an hour or something, and not necessarily only World of Warcraft. Let's say some games like, for instance, League of Legends or stuff like that. I don't play League of Legends, but you get what I'm saying. And those games are also designed to keep you in for another match. Like, you lost this time, okay, you can try again, and you can win maybe in the next one, and then the next one, and then a couple hours have gone by, and you're like, oh shit, this was supposed to be like a short break, not like this. So having a schedule, I think, really helps a lot to track your time and get everything under control. So that's why I'm so envious of Dom, because he always seems to have everything under control. Like, his calendar might. I love it. I love it.
Still that
looks from the outside. When I see your posts about your art, your you sometimes post about your workout stuff. I consider that to be a very important ingredient of healthy lifestyle. That's why I asked about this balance between life and work. Life meaning like social contact with your friends, family, time for family and stuff. Also moving your body around, doing exercise, working out, and then also having time for some entertainment to just have those treats that we were talking about, right? And of
Mhm.
course, above everything else, like your passion for art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I feel like the thing that I got a lot out of was like sitting down and writing, and actually writing out what my values were. You know, sitting down and like thinking about like, okay, you know, I really like video games, but I also I like the way art, like doing a good piece of art makes me feel more than a video game might, you know, and making the sacrifice that, okay, you know, maybe I like video games, but I also like this thing more. And then having the discipline and the, you know, foresight to be able to, and willpower to decide, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to draw boxes or, you know, study anatomy or something, which is more boring in the short term, but more gratifying if you can actually learn the stuff than, you know, getting another level or, you know, winning a game of League or something.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a different type of reward when you accomplish something like a task that was a big struggle, you know. And when that's in a game, I'm talking from my experience. In my case, this is my personal opinion. When I accomplish something in a game, it feels good in that moment, but then I realize that this adds no value to my life in general.
Right.
And you know, compared to when I get through like a large task that I had to complete for either a client, for my personal project, whatever, right? Let's say I run 10 miles or something like that, some goal that you might have like that, which is something hard to do in my case, right? Like I'm trying to get a grip of workout once again. And these things are hard for me to do, but I feel good after I complete them, even though I feel like destroyed, right? I'm like, I know that this is like the first step of many more to come that will help me reach this goal that I have, help me climb this mountain of success, you know, this metaphorical mountain of success.
Absolutely.
Unless you're a professional gamer or you want to become that kind of something along that kind of profession, right? Then you, of course, you want to become better at playing that game, or just
Right.
like
Mhm.
everything else, you know. If you're an athlete, you want to become better at what you do. If you're an artist, you become better at that. So when
Right.
you do something that's not really, you feel like it doesn't really correspond to what you're doing, even though you win, you don't feel like a win in real life. That's what I was trying to say with all of this, you know, from the beginning. That's a
Absolutely.
weird relationship I have with entertainment, with that. You know, that's why I think I have such a hard time taking a break, because I feel guilty.
Well, I think it fundamentally comes down to, you know, I think the goal I think in general for me at least is to be completely non-judgmental towards the way I spend my time. Like if I think if somebody feels guilty about the way they spend their time, then I think there's like a shred of, you know, potentially like insecurity or, you know, something that's potentially more like darker than, you know, something that's like I have been getting really into cycling a lot recently, and
Do you
I did
guys
the
hear
sorry,
any
what?
noises in the background?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Um,
There's some loud
yeah.
people next to.
Oh, there are a lot of people in your apartment.
No. They're outside, but I was wondering because they're pretty loud, and I was
Oh, yeah,
wondering
yeah.
if you could hear
It's
it.
okay.
Okay. Sorry.
But yeah, I've been getting into cycling a lot recently, and I recently did the longest solo trip I've ever done over the course of a week. I rode about 375 miles over 7 days. The longest day being 99 miles in a day. And I was really proud of myself afterwards. I was like, wow, this is something that is like way more difficult than anything I've ever done. And obviously people have done bigger trips, but for me, that was like a huge step. And then afterwards, the only thing I wanted to do was like sit around and watch YouTube videos and browse Reddit, you know, because I was so pooped. And I think if I was in just the hustle culture of, you know, wanting to get better at cycling, I might have done something to burn myself out, you know. And I think it's okay, you know, once you, like, you know, if you're really feeling, if you really feel the urge to go and do something, like you can be the kind of person that goes and runs a marathon and then goes and, you know, eats like 12 cheeseburgers, you know, and it's like doing one doesn't necessarily detract from the other or add to the other, you know. If you're feeling, you know, I think it's, you know, obviously when it comes to your health, it's a very fine line to walk, but the only opinion of you that matters is the one that you hold of yourself. And if it's hurting you, I think it's, or saying bad things, I think it's good to pay attention to maybe like, why do you think that, you know? Why are you thinking those concepts?
That's why I find so fascinating and important to know yourself, you know, to know why do you behave the way you behave? Why do you think that way? Why do you react that way in those situations, right? Because if you understand that, then you can act upon it, you know, and prevent those bad things from happening again. Prevent those bad feelings, those bad thoughts from, you know, coming up ever again.
Right.
I do feel like this is a beautiful journey of self-discovery, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's crucial to go through all these things and all these struggles.
Yeah.
To realize all that stuff.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Dom?
I pretty much agree with what you guys are saying. I think you do have to
this masterpiece.
Yeah, I'm kind of distracted with this, but
it's really cool, dude.
I do agree. Like finding that balance and finding whatever you need to do, like taking breaks or traveling, stuff like that, getting away from, you know, your distractions.
Yeah,
will help.
Right. Well, I think it's like admitting to yourself that you'll never be finished. You know, it's like no matter how hard you work, you know, there's always going to be another goal that you should be having. And,
yeah.
You know, I think it's okay to like slow down a little bit. You know. So,
yeah.
You don't have to be hustle culture all the time. You know. Sorry, what?
You can't be depending on expectations all the time. Like when I'll get there, then I'll do this. Or when I'll have that, I'll become this. You know?
Yeah.
That's gonna happen probably.
My dad said something to me once which really resonated. It was like, be happy then or be happy now, you know? And, you know, it's like when you're in a constant state of when I am a professional concept artist or when I am good at drawing or when I'm a fine artist, then I can start doing the work I really want to be doing. And it's like, why couldn't you start doing the work you want to be doing right now, you know?
There's never been a better moment than the very moment right now.
Which is, you know, I think it's kind of a cliche, but I think cliches are cliches because they, you know, it's like conventional wisdom at that point. It's stuff that's like repeated so many times that it's like, yeah, that's right. You know, it's,
if you think about it, it makes all the sense, right? But then I get it. There's a time and a place for everything, and it depends on lots of circumstances. But overall, as a concept, I think that's the truest thing in the world. It's the present. It's all we have, you know.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past, and it doesn't matter what you're going to do in the future. And, you know, it matters what you're going to do right this second. You know, it's like there's no point at which you become the perfect artist. You know, and we were mentioning earlier in the stream, it's like, if you were to do the perfect painting, Adrian, is that a reason to stop painting? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
Your definition for what a good painting is might change. And I'm sure that's happened to you. It's like you do a painting that you were very proud of, and then they're like, now what? You know.
I do, and I always feel bad afterwards, you know. And I'm noticing that it never really changes. I remember my very first gig 7 years ago. So I got contacted by this music band, and they wanted me to draw like a album cover for them. And I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like, these guys are going to pay me money to draw something for their real company, you know, their music band. And I had that pressure on, you know, like, man, they better like it, blah, blah, blah. I didn't believe I could do what I did. And then when I completed that, I was like, man, such a fool I was, you know, of course I could do it. And that's the feeling that's how you feel when you complete it, right? Like, you just have to believe in yourself a little more and stop discrediting your skills to accomplish something.
Right. Well, I don't know. I see a lot of people always asking just about like, how do I know when I'm ready? You know, or how do I know when I finish a painting? Or should I go to art school? Should I, you know, what kind of stuff should I study? I think it's like those questions are, you know, a teacher can help you, but only in the sense that like they can help you decide for yourself. You know, I think the only thing a teacher can do is to tell you to not listen to them and to, you know,
those are the good teachers. Yeah. The ones that don't walk you by the hand and tell you what to do every time, but the ones that offer you all the possibilities and teach you, this is what happens if you do this. This is what happens if you do that. So you have to choose yourself. You know, they train you to come up with to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Instead of telling you this is what you have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Strictly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, my definition of what good art is changing completely. It's completely different from what I thought it was when I first started training as an artist. Like, good art is, I think, my definition of good art now is if the person who made it enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think that's good art. You know, if somebody made art and they were doing it and they didn't want to do it, I think that's bad art. It's like, no matter how pretty the image is, you know, it's like, it might be a good painting, it might be good draftsmanship, but I don't know if it's, to me, what good art is. If I'd like to emulate it, essentially, it's a closer definition.
Yeah, I think if you hate it, then like, what's the point of doing it?
Right.
It's just, yeah, your soul just gets sucked out of it.
Yeah, I kind of get that at a point, you know. Like, I understand why some artists do that, because they keep demanding that excellence from themselves even more and more. Like, no, this is not enough. I have to be better. That's okay, but I don't think it's healthy to do that all the time. You know, there are some moments where, yeah, you have to respect your standards and have like a goal. Like, this is how good I want to be, right? And yeah, and I feel like some people just bash themselves way too much, and I'm just realizing I'm probably one of them a lot of times. But it's like, I don't know, and my case, I see it like a hybrid kind of thing. Like, I'm aware that I have some level, but I think because, you know, due to the fact that I'm aware that I'm far away from how good I want to be, I keep discrediting my present self and my present skills.
Right.
Like, this is not enough. This is not enough. You have to be better, right? When I'm already on the journey of becoming a better artist, we all are every single time we practice, right? But I think that's just a lack of perspective. You lose track. You don't know. You no longer know where you are right now, and you start bashing yourself. You know, you should have done this, you done that. So, you know, I've heard a lot of people talking about meditation and stuff, like to help you come back, you know, and realize where you are and come back to the present moment. But I don't know if you guys tried that. I haven't. I actually did, but it's so hard to quiet your mind. It's so hard.
Yeah, I feel that.
Coming up with lots of thoughts and yeah.
Yeah, I think that stuff is always difficult. I mean,
the only moment that I realized my mind was quiet was when I work out, for instance. You know, you keep focusing on something that's really hard, and it basically distracts your mind towards that. So you can't spend any more energy on any other unrelated thing, unrelated to the task that you are performing at that moment.
Right.
I guess that's what it feels so good when you're doing something repetitive, because it's like it helps you to take a break from all the worries you have, everything you think about all the time, the anxiety that builds up with, the more time you spend on something that you feel like you shouldn't be doing, that anxiety keeps growing because you're aware that there's some other stuff you have to take care of. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that, art is such a cerebral thing, and I think a lot of it is intuitive. And like for your painting, Dom, are you looking at reference at all, or is it
There's some on my phone.
Yeah.
Other...
But like most of it is intuitive, right? Most of it is like you're not even thinking about it.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes a good portion of it, maybe. So.
Yeah. Like there's some architecture reference that I'm looking at, or building reference. But yeah, like the painting process itself, just like I'm in sort of like a flow state.
Right.
Just painting.
Yeah, doing busy work. I was listening to a Steve Houston talk once, and he was talking about how when somebody does a painting and, a core shadow is off or perspective is off, anatomy is off, you could probably tell that they weren't thinking about the figure, that they were thinking about, a fight that they had, or their job, or, taxes or something. And they weren't really in the moment. They were thinking about, taxes, the taxes come across in their painting in a sense. And I think the goal, every professional artist that I've talked to is trying, especially when they're painting, they're trying to hit that flow state. Do you think either of you would have any advice on any artist to hit that flow state more often?
Like any specific artists that do that, or just
like just for trying to get to a state where you're being, non-judgmental with your work, and just like in the moment, just enjoying the painting or drawing.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen this whole time, I haven't really moved the canvas at all that much. So I think, just zooming out while you're painting and just seeing the whole thing as one piece helps me get into that flow state, or just not concentrating on the small details again, just finding those big elements throughout the piece. And then, I don't know. I guess it is intuitive at that point. You don't really know how to explain it. It just happens.
I think I got used to rely on inspiration way too often, because it was very abundant in the last couple of years. And now I'm noticing how unreliable that is in the long run, because at some point motivation or inspiration, which are things that if you don't use at the moment, they just vanish, right? So I'm just noticing how important it is it's pretty simple actually. You just take action, and that motivates you, right? Like I remember, for instance, coming back to the fitness type of background, right? I hate running, and some years ago, I basically motivated myself to run every morning by just putting my shoes on and just getting dressed for, in the morning to go run. Because at that point, I knew that the game is on. Okay, there's no way back now. So we have to go out and run. Same thing can be applied to anything else. It might be just sitting down, opening up your painting software, your 3D software, whatever you work with. And I was just wondering if you guys do any warm-up exercises or anything like that, because it's something I don't usually do as much as I would like to. And all I see is a lot of warm-up sketches that are just absolutely killing it on social media. And I feel like I should.
I don't even do warm-ups. I just go right into the piece.
It's completely different for every artist.
Yeah.
You probably warm up as you go with the piece, right? Because you start with some idea at some point.
It's like this whole piece is a warm up, technically. It's just like while I'm painting, that's like relaxing my thinking muscles, I guess. It's just I'm painting. Like,
and it stimulates your imagination the more you paint, right? The more things you lay down on the canvas, the more it's like, oh, this could be like this and this. Okay, so you make iterations as you go.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
that's something I do as well.
I don't really iterate before a painting. Like I know people will do like thumbnails and stuff like that. I just do the piece. I think it's different again for some people. Like some people like to do a whole bunch of different views and angles to choose the right one. I just pick one and just go with it. All depends.
Yeah, it's nice that you have this clear vision of your piece, you know, enough to just simply dive into the beginning.
I mean, what the process is like pretty straightforward, I'd say. I just look at like a reference piece that's maybe like a photograph, and then I find ways how I can like change the entire lighting scenario, change the whole story, change the characters in the scene, change the props, change the everything until like it's completely different from what I originally saw at the reference. But yeah. Approaching 2 hours.
So at which point do you dive into color? Like when you
probably at this stage, but I'm I don't know what color scheme I want for this actually yet.
Do you think you'll have time to add color, Dom? Or
that would probably take another hour to find.
Well, we have plenty of time if you are waiting, but
okay.
If you do not want to, that is totally fine as well.
Yeah, because there's still some like loose elements that I haven't added yet, like story elements. They're still not figured out. But I mean, overall, the environment's there for the story. It's just basically maybe some patrol people on horses, scouting the streets. So, simple.
Is this your usual workflow? Like you start usually in black and white, grayscale, and then add color? Or okay,
pretty much every piece starts in grayscale like this, and then I slowly add color afterwards.
And if you don't mind me asking, how did you get to know your own workflow? Like, have you tried many things and then decided, okay, this is the one I like the most? Or, you know, is it like a conclusion you came up with? Or
I think like
I like this one, this is gonna be it.
Yeah, so it's just kind of your references that you look at, you know, different artists that call to you, but it's not like really copying that artist's style. It's like adapting that style a bit. So just like choosing one style that you like and run with it. Like for me, the style is not that important. Like I don't really care much about style as much. I just focus on the story. Like that's it. And the style is just like a byproduct of this thing. Yeah. Because I think like a lot of people struggle to find a style. You know, it's just a matter of like what kind of thing you have to say for your pieces, like your story. That's your style. I would say.
I think that inevitably, if you just draw and paint, you're gonna start to have opinions about what looks good and what doesn't look good. And the more you do that, the more you're gonna like combine different people's styles and find your own ways of doing things. And at the end of the day, you're gonna find I think you're going to find a style faster by just following the process of being creative, way faster than if you're trying to do it intentionally.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of just something that pops up, as you, start having values and, I think it almost doesn't matter what your style is. Like, I think what matters most is that you enjoy drawing and painting. Marshall Vandroff said to me once, I repeat this all the time, but he said that the only reason to ever show your portfolio to somebody is to incite greed. It means that like the only reason ever to show your art to somebody else is to either get them to pay you money or to validate you. And showing other people your art to be validated I don't think that's a good idea to do personally. But, the goal is to be completely self-fulfilled from the things that you create.
To not need to kind of raise a flag of your own stuff for everybody to see it, right? To validate you and stuff. Like if you're proud and accomplished and you feel accomplished and successful at a personal level, I think that's all that matters. Then the rest of it is a byproduct, as Dom said before, about the style, right? Like the success of your stuff is a byproduct of your own effort and of the way you feel about your accomplished stuff, the stuff you've created. Because
sorry, go ahead.
How do you feel about someone who's constantly complaining about their work, right? That's a turn off at some point. It's like,
well,
this guy
I think for me, art is about like, I don't care how good, like if somebody's artwork is amazing, but they're constantly like, oh, this sucks, I'm the worst. I actually makes me dislike their art way less. I think art for me represents something that's meant to uplift me and inspire me. And if the person that's creating it is constantly like bashing themselves, it's not something that I'd actually want to emulate. And like another thing, I would ask that person who's bashing their own artwork, would you do artwork if no one would ever see it? Like if you were the last person on the planet, would you still paint? And if the answer is no, then why are you painting?
I love these questions.
Yeah.
Really.
It's like I think that art is inherently somewhat selfish because like I think I would draw differently if I knew no one would ever see it, but it would be I think I would still draw.
I mean, you got to give yourself some credit. Like, you can't just say it's garbage all the time. I mean, it could be garbage, but like, don't say that about yourself. You're just going to reinforce that idea. I don't even know
what garbage is. I mean, like if you look at Picasso's drawings, like from one perspective, they're complete garbage because they're non-academic. From another perspective, they're some of the best artworks ever made because, they represent, what he truly wants to be doing. And there's a balance where it's like, it's completely subjective. It's like maybe making beautiful representational images is what you really care about. And maybe you think Picasso is a waste of time, and maybe you think that representational stuff is a complete waste of time. And I think it's like both opinions are completely correct because people are just different, so people just want to feel validated in the stuff that they like.
I find that very beautiful to have this whole range of different types of expressions,
Well, I also think it's amazing that like, somebody like you guys can exist, like people who are doing digital concept art, kind of storytelling kind of stuff, and so can like an abstract impressionist, like Jackson Pollock or, somebody doing massive mural paintings or somebody doing performance art, somebody like the range at which, like, if you ever think your artwork is bad, you're probably wrong because, just the range of things that can exist, it's like, it's incredible. Like, there are people out there that are dedicating their lives to academic painting, and then there are other people that are just like, building like giant skyscrapers, and they can both exist in the same community and society of people and have something valid to contribute to the whole. And the more that you start to distrust your own vision, I think you're actually, I think it might be a little bit selfish, actually. So
yeah, well, I agree.
So I think everyone has something of value to contribute.
Yep.
Sounds corny, but
any more questions?
Yeah. Monkey Beanie asks, what did you learn in art school? What was the lesson plan? Did you learn a new topic every month or so, or what exercises were you made to do, and what do you suggest?
Yeah, so I was in the game art program at LCAD, and they kind of train you on a variety of things. So I had to learn, your basic figure drawing, painting with gouache, which was not my forte, but still had to do that. And we had to 3D model stuff. We had to make like a little game. So I had like a range of different things that I had to study. But I think the one thing that helped me the most in school was like the figure drawing classes for show. Like, I didn't think I would need figure drawing, but like during my beginning years, I was like, okay, this is probably like what I need to study if I want to, draw figures or put them in environments and stuff. So it was a really valuable class to me out of like all the other classes I've taken. But most of the stuff that I've learned is like online from Gumroads and YouTube videos and just observing other artists, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know some people really benefit from art school. Me personally, I didn't really benefit that much from art school. But everything was still valuable that I, am grateful for, like all the connections that I've made and stuff. But yeah, figure drawing was the one class that changed my life there.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Adrian?
Well, in my case, I don't know. I was like a little bit all over the place. I don't have any formal background, education background in terms of art, other than just a high school degree, where we just painted with charcoal, pots and bottles and cubes and all that stuff, right? But it's more of a mashup of different tutorials and courses that I found online. And look, Proko was one of the first channels that I found about this, right? And man, I can't believe how far this has come, dude. Like, I remember this guy in the very beginning, the Scully is called? Skelly? The skeleton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember those days when, I was basically starting out in terms of concept art, and I was trying to do everything I saw other people doing, thumbnail sketches, figure drawing, joining challenges, joining contests, and posting online a lot, like posting everywhere on Facebook, joining those groups where you can share your art and get like critiques and feedback. And you make a lot of connections, as Dom said, along the way, and you never know where you're going to end up. Some of those people you met might be your next work colleagues, and I don't know. It's really interesting to see how this whole thing evolves. But ultimately, you kind of end up falling for one particular workflow or another, right? That's why I asked Dom before, like, is this how you usually do stuff? because I think I'm still finding my main type of workflow, right? Because I feel like it depending on what I'm working on. I can start in like black and white with blobs of paint, or with line drawing, or with 3D like a base, or maybe I can just start with images and mash them together and then paint on top of it. And yeah, it really depends. But yeah, I don't think I have like a direct answer to that question, because I don't know. I tried a little bit of everything, and I think by practicing all those techniques, you come up with like a conclusion, and you settle for that particular workflow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna leave you guys continue with this episode. I gotta go. I gotta wake up early tomorrow.
Yeah, good, man.
11 p.m. on this.
Well, I appreciate you joining. It's good to have you.
Thanks for joining, Adrian. It's good seeing you.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you for inviting me here. And yeah, I hope to see you all very soon as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
See you, man.
Good luck with the rest of the episode. See ya.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
How you feel, Don?
Hanging in there, but yeah. Is anyone else asking questions about the process, or they're just watching?
Well, there are a few about personal life stuff.
Okay.
So,
what is it?
I'll read the entire question. Might take a second. Vigo says, "Hi, I'm an engineering student with a passion in storytelling and video games. In the last year, I felt on myself. What are you're saying right now about time spent, duties, passions, and hobbies? This took me to start learning art. I'm studying fundamentals, concept art, and other stuff. I need to tell stories to an audience, not just studying, but I'm also starting my own projects. But I also do have a worry. Does this stream, will it let me build a life for me and my girlfriend? We want to have family, kids, stable life. I've never heard anyone talk about family and kids. I don't know if you have children, but if you do, or if you know someone who has, can you make it work? It really worries me."
You see. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm currently single, so I don't have to worry about kids at the moment, but I know, yeah, it's different for like people who do have families. I would say like if you plan on going into art as like your main source of income, like art is kind of like an entrepreneurship almost in most cases, unless you're aiming to go for a studio, which is like, you build the skills, like the trade skills for a studio, and then you just go work there, and yeah, you can build a life like working from a studio job. But if you're chasing your passions by yourself, like you want to do like your own thing, that's going to take even more extra effort. Like kind of figuring out like what you want to do, what you want to build, what your vision is, that sort of thing. And all that stuff just takes careful planning and timing. I think I wouldn't say it's for everybody, because then I'd be lying. But it's for people who are just willing to work their butts off to no end. Well, still take breaks, but you have to work really hard if you want to make something for yourself, at least. Is it sustainable by any means? It depends. If like a studio is paying you really well, then yeah, like you can definitely survive. But if you're just doing like your own solo thing, then you might have to work a side job, which is fine. Like I don't really see what the problem is working a side job if you need to. But I think a lot of artists try to bank on making art their sole income, which is pretty hard to do unless you're like already super established. But even then, like there's just so much work that goes into it. Like, yeah, maybe you'd make more at a non-art job than, but this is like, this has to be like your passion, I would feel, or just something that you have fun with. I don't know, what do you think, Christian?
I think that, I mean, when it comes to trying to make a living off art, the artists that I know that do it don't recommend it because you have to work really, really, really hard. But at the same time, it can definitely be done. It's like the reason they did it and they wouldn't recommend it is because they had to do it, because they like loved it so much that they couldn't see themselves doing anything else. And if you're somebody like that, the advice that those professionals might give is to just like, get really good, try to have a good work-life balance and, keep in mind the things that you value, because like as an artist, you're inevitably not going to be making as much money as somebody who's a banker, probably, or somebody working in tech or something. There's like a sacrifice you might have to make to make sure that you're able to make a good living. You might not be able to have, as many kids as you might want, but you might have to live in a smaller house than you might want. But if art is really that important to you, that's, and if that's the sacrifice you want to make, that might be what has to happen. But, there are also the outliers of people who can do both really well. Like make a lot of money and also do the stuff they want to do, which takes a lot of work and a lot of risk. So just keep that in mind. Do you want to answer a few more questions, Tom? Or
yeah, sure.
How much longer do you think you want to go on this, by the way?
Probably just stop at the grayscale.
Cool.
So I'm getting a little bit of eye fatigue right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, here's one question. Ross Klein asks, I tend to get overwhelmed when using layers in Photoshop. Any advice on how to organize layers effectively?
Oh boy. I think it's different for everybody, but my layers are pretty scattered. I just make one layer after another on top of each other. So it's pretty like consecutive going from the bottom up, as you can see. But I like to just collage all the layers and then collapse the layers afterwards. So that way I'm just like painting on top of the whole image. I don't really like to use too many layers because I get scatterbrained. So I try to keep it as minimal as I can.
That is good advice.
Yeah, I just treat it like a traditional painting. Like you would just paint on one. Well, you're using layers, but you're still painting on like one single layer.
Yeah.
You think we'll be done in about 25 minutes?
We could be done right now if you want.
Okay, maybe like 10 more minutes then.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool painting, Dom.
Thanks. Maybe I'll post it later soon on Instagram. So if you guys want to see the final piece, just go to Layered Painter.
Yeah. Do you want to plug your Instagram or the projects you have going on?
If you want to pull it up, maybe. I don't know how I could do that right now.
Okay. Well, I can't pull it up, but I will tell people your Instagram. Laird Painter on Instagram, Domlay. He's also on Proko.com as an instructor. So, yeah. Highly recommend checking out his book too, Journey to the East.
It's sold out.
Well, I highly recommend anyone to bug Dom to do another print run.
I think that's it, man.
Oh, you're not doing anymore?
Yeah. I think that's like done.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend everyone checking out Dom's next book project.
Yeah, I'll be printing that out for sure.
What do you have going on for the rest of the week?
Not too much. Just working on stuff, trying to rest my eyes, get back in shape, because I can't really work out this week because of my eyes. They won't let me like lift anything heavy. So, yeah. What about yourself?
See friends and prepare for my trip.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wish you luck, man. Stay safe out there.
Yeah. All the best.
Film some GoPro shots if you can.
Nice. I will. You vaccinated?
Plan to soon. I just haven't been out of the house in a while, or just around, you know.
For anyone listening that might be considering going to art school, do you have any recommendations?
Oh, to go to art school? Brainstorm is a good trade school to go. But art school wise, like traditional art school, I think some of the CAD schools are good. Just depends where you go. Yeah, Nomon school is good for anyone going to VFX. But if you're going to like concept art, like Brainstorm is probably one of the better schools for that. I'll be teaching there next fall. So. Kind of nervous. 20 people class, 20 person class.
You got this, man.
I say that even though I'm like live streaming in front of dozens of people.
Hundreds of people. Actually.
Yeah. But no one's like saying anything, so that's why.
No, well, plenty of people are saying things. I'm just not.
Like on audio, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it'd feel different if there were like 20,000 people watching?
Probably not, actually.
Yeah.
Like it gets better after a while.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's nerve-wracking.
Would you have any advice for people that are thinking of putting themselves out there?
Yeah. I think, well, you definitely have to believe in yourself. Like, give yourself more credit than you know, especially if what you think you're making is good work. Like, give yourself some credit for that. Like, never downplay yourself, and if you can have some sort of like structure, that will help too. Make it easier on yourself for seeing where you want to go. And whatever you see out there that's trending, try and like maybe do the complete opposite. So that's it. And yeah. Do you have anything for that?
Listen to Dom. So you disappeared.
I'm back.
No. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. Just gotta push yourself. I think that's it. Stop caring what other people think.
Yeah.
And just do it.
Or a trash can. No trash can.
Yeah, maybe I'll stop here for now.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for checking out my process. It's fun answering questions.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Keep practicing, keep painting, and yeah, don't give up.
Cool. Thanks, Tom.